Good morning, friends. I hope you are having a wonderful day. We've been talking a lot this week about just being healthy and taking care of ourselves and being able to keep our bodies going strong, right? And so today I want to go ahead and share with you guys 5 tips about kind of jumping in and starting the carnivore diet. So we talk about it a lot for the past year or so, and I thought these 5 tips were ones that saved me. If you're thinking about trying this out, they might be helpful for you too. So get something, I've got my coffee, and let's go ahead and chat. Friends, I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm Heidi with the Heavenly Minded Home, and we are sharing videos every single day this year. Yep, every single day. You guys can catch them all. We've got a playlist link down below where you guys can see all of them. But this week we've kind of been talking about the theme of just health and nutrition, and I think it's so important. I think God gave us everything we need to take care of ourselves to the best of our ability. Stuff happens. We live in a sinful, fallen world. We understand that, but we still can take care of ourselves and lean on God's creation to help us in that. And so for our family, I shared with you guys earlier this week, we'll link it right up here. Was it Monday? I think it was Monday's video right here. About how we do the carnivore diet. I thought my husband was crazy when he suggested this, but I was trying to go super plant-based. I was doing all the things, everything they tell you to do, and my PCOS and endometriosis were out of control. My hormones were a hot mess. I kept gaining weight. I couldn't stop. My skin didn't look good. My nails kept breaking. I mean, I had one thing after another, and I was like, what the heck is wrong with me that I cannot get this together? It was driving me crazy. So we said, okay, fine. I did some research into the carnivore diet. I'll link a playlist up here of all of the, videos that we've done on this and whatnot if you guys want to go dive deeper into that. But I said, let's give it a shot. Let's just try it. And then holy smokes, we started the beginning of last year, and maybe not the very beginning, but towards the beginning of last year. Holy cow, I could not believe the difference. I was dropping weight like crazy. I wasn't having the endometriosis pain like I was used to. I wasn't having the swelling. Oh my gosh, you guys, I swell up so bad. Most consistently I used to. I mean, you would think I was pregnant most of the time because I would get so swollen. My whole midsection would just be hard as a rock. It was awful. The pain was out of control. I never had normal cycles because my hormones are a disaster. And then since doing this, like all of that stuff for me has been just like, I now work almost like clockwork, which has never happened in my 36 years of life. So you guys, it's like, oh, this is amazing. So these are things either that I did and really did help, or things like going back, I wish I would have known from the get-go. And so I'm going to share it all with you right here today. Okay, tip number 1 that I did and I totally recommend you should do as well. You're gonna try this out, okay? Try carnivore, which means that you only eat meat and animal-based products. You don't want a ton of dairy, and especially if dairy bothers you, cut that down, but meat, that's it. Like literally, that's your diet. Try it 100%. Go full-blown for 30 days, for 1 month. We got a new month here. You want to take this month, and this is your month to do it. Give yourself a time that you're going to commit to, okay? This 1 month, I am going to eliminate everything else out and only eat meat and animal-based products. Give yourself that time frame. Allow that elimination to happen, and what you'll notice is as soon as you cut everything else out and you stick to it, right? You can drink waters, you can drink teas, you can drink coffee. You don't want a bunch of sugars and things like that, but like unsweetened things and, like pure herbal teas and water, you can do that, okay? But cut everything else out. Just stick with this. Allow that time to work, right? Like for us, we said, okay, I'm gonna do 30 days. Now for me, when I got to the end of my 30 days, I was like, holy cow, I've never felt this good in my life. I'm going 60 days. And when I finished 60 days, I said, oh my gosh, I'm going 90 days. So, I mean, you do with it what you will, but set that goal. Say, hey, 30 days this month, this is what I'm doing, and stick to it. Now, the second tip that I did, and I 100% recommend, and even us trying to jump back in this year, some of us are jumping in with a little more dedication than others. I'm noticing this to be a thing. Second tip would be remove all off-plan foods out of your home, out of your area, okay? So when we did this last year, my husband and I talked about it. He's got some health stuff that he needs to take care of. I have some health stuff that I wanted to take care of. We said, okay, we're gonna do this. We decided to do this as an entire family. So all of us, our kids, all of us did this, okay? There are many health benefits of this across the board. Obviously, if you have a specific health something or other, of course you have to take certain things into account. I recommend Dr. Ken Berry. He is amazing when it comes to all of this. I'll put it down there in the description. We'll put a link to his channel so you can go learn more for yourself. But what we did is I went through and I cleaned out the pantry, the fridge, the freezer, the everything for anything that was off plan. What we kind of did is we ate up all that we had, kind of set our start date, and then I just didn't replenish any of those foods by start date. So when we got going, we were pretty much good to go. And so I removed and then stopped buying the breads, the things with sugar, all the refined foods, you know, any of that extra stuff. I didn't restock up on the produce, you know, things like that. We went ahead and just cut all of that out. So that way we were ready and everything in our house was actual on-plan food, okay? What happens then is when you're in that first little bit of switching over and you're craving the sugar, you're craving the breads, you're craving, you know, all of that stuff. It can be difficult if you know that right there behind that cupboard door, you could get the thing you're wanting to get. And so removing all of that, it's 30 days. Remember, you can do it. It's going to be okay. Take all the stuff that's off plan and get it out of there. If there's certain specific things that you do need to keep for your husband, maybe he's not doing it with you. Usually though, if you say, hey honey, I have a diet where all we can eat is steak, you usually can get husbands on board, just saying. But remove all of that stuff that you can so that you don't have anything there to tempt you. If you mess up, you mess up. It's not the end of the world. Don't think you need to like lose your marbles over it, but it's just so much better if from the get-go, you take the things out that you know are gonna be weak points and just get them out of your house. That's tip number 2. My third tip here that I never was very adventurous with before, but doing carnivore has really helped me is experiment with spices and herbs. Now, you don't want to be using a lot of sauces and things in carnivore because they're full of so much sugar and so many fillers and things like that. So usually kind of want to stay away from that. It's one thing if you're going to use just a teeny tiny little bit, like for me, I don't like eggs. I will eat eggs if I put ketchup on them. Scrambled eggs with some ketchup on is the only way to get me to eat eggs. Eggs are so good for you, okay? They're fantastic. So I put a teeny tiny bit of ketchup with a teeny tiny, it only has, I get a ketchup that has a teeny tiny amount of sugar. I tried no sugar ketchup and it was awful. So I didn't do very good. But I have a ketchup. It has a very small amount of sugar on it, and I only put a little bit on my eggs. So my kids, my husband, he loves just ground beef patties, but he wants at least a teeny tiny bit of A1 sauce on it. So for us, we said, hey, if that's what I need to get me to eat the stuff that I need to be eating, I have to be conscious. I have to really only use a little bit. But the more I started experimenting with spices, different herbs, mixing stuff in like that, holy cow, that was so wonderful when you're not adding on all the other stuff, you know, that you're getting flavor from, kind of playing with those spices and herbs. And we started to figure out, ooh, I really like this. I don't like that. If I put cilantro on something, I can pretty much eat anything with some cilantro on top. So the more you kind of play with that stuff, it is really fun to kind of see those different flavors come out. I feel like ratatouille, right? You like take out the other things and you like pull the right stuff and mix it together and you're like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. So definitely encourage you to play with different spices and herbs. You want to use lots of salt. We use good Himalayan salt. You want all of that in there. That's the really good stuff. Again, you guys can go check out Ken Berry. I think I linked it down there if you want to learn more about, you know, kind of some of those details. But definitely have fun with your spices. And fourth tip here, don't forget about your electrolytes. Now, there's all the science and everything behind it when you take out certain things and then your body's trying to replenish itself and blah, 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 blah. We won't get into all that here. Thing is you can start to get some cramping. I didn't have a ton of this, but I did start to get some and I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? It was cramping. It was because I needed a little more electrolytes. And so there are plenty of really cool no sugar powders and things that you can put in. The carnivore community is huge with some of those things and they promote all these different ones and some of them look really cool. They were just kind of pricey and I was like, I don't really have the budget for that. So what I found were these not that you can see it, Oh, it's not gonna zoom in, is it? There we go. The Hydrate Electrolyte waters from Walmart. You get a 6-pack of these. At our store, they're like $6 something a piece. You're essentially paying $1 a bottle for this big, huge, let's see, 1 liter bottle. And it has a bunch of electrolytes and everything in it. So what I do is I go ahead and get a pack of these, usually every few weeks or so, honestly. And I kind of only drink one every once in a while. If I'm starting to notice a little bit of cramping, usually I get it in my legs, I'll go ahead and drink one. Or sometimes if it's just been a while, I'll just go ahead and drink one just to, I don't know, make sure I've got whatever I need. But you will potentially run into some cramping and some things like that. You want to make sure you're getting your electrolytes back as well. I know some people will take and put a little bit of like Himalayan salt in their water, just a teeny tiny bit. So you're getting all of those trace minerals. It doesn't necessarily taste any different, but you know, you're getting all of that in there. There's different ways to do it and you'll find a million different things. For me, I found this was the cheapest, easiest. I just buy a pack of these and drink one from time to time. Boom, bam, electrolytes, all better. And my 5th and final point here to help you get started with carnivore, you know, to set a time, to get in there, to be doing good is when you struggle, which let's face it, we all will, okay? It's gonna happen. You find those things that you're like, oh, for me, coffee. I used to love coffee creamers and putting sugars in my thing. I now use a super creamer, I think it's called. I'll put a little clip in it of it over here. But I put this in my coffee now. When I first started drinking this, it tasted weird, okay? It had this weird aftertaste. And I was like, oh, what is this? Now I can't drink anything else. Like this is my favorite. I can't, every once in a while they'll be out of it or I'll have to drink something else and I'm like, ugh, I miss that. When you run into those times you're like, oh, for me, salt and vinegar chips became my like stress eating food. It was awful. I would get so stressed. I would eat so many salt and vinegar chips. The lining of my mouth would literally peel off, you guys. It was awful. Maybe you're a big soda person and you just can't cut it. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Whatever the case may be. Remember when you're in those moments that you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Focus on the good. Now, if you have a lot of internal healing that needs to happen, you might not drop a bunch of weight right away, right? That happens. For me, I dropped a ton of weight, like right away. All that just, I was like, oh my gosh. But then it stalled out because all that internal stuff, you know, starts healing. And for me, in those moments where I'm just like, you know, oh, I just want to eat this right now, or just, you know, want to do that or whatever. Remembering how important it is to take care of our bodies from the inside out. Focusing on the things like, wow, I'm not as inflamed. Things aren't hurting as much. I am starting to fit my clothes a little bit better. My hormones are starting to balance. There's so much good that's happening. And when you focus on that, instead of just being annoyed that you can't have this over here, that mental shift makes such a difference. So tip number 5, definitely focus on the good that is happening. Mind, body, and soul, right? As you work towards a healthier you, a healthier husband, a healthier family, all of it. So those would be my top 5 tips. If you're ready to set a 30-day time frame and get jumping into carnivore, get healing your body from the inside out, your whole family can do it. It is so nice. And my husband and I just keep remarking, gosh, it's amazing when you start to actually feel better and little things that maybe you didn't even realize were bothering you, those start to go away. They're like, man, I kind of have a whole new lease on life when I'm not hurting all the time and I'm feeling better and I have more energy and I'm not so tired. Imagine that. So praying this can be a blessing for you and your family. Thank you guys for hanging out with me this week. Of course, be right back here tomorrow for more videos. When you subscribe, tap that little bell notification to see them when they come out. And I think you would absolutely love this video up here. So go ahead, tap that, go watch that, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye, friends.